Welcome back, everybody, to another exciting Lord Duckman production. Behind me here is the 1972 Beetle, which we've been working on, the carburetors. I got everything covered because, man, the weather has just been absolute cock. And I mean just cock. It just keeps raining. Anyway, I got to put those carburetors back together. We got the missing gaskets, and we got the proper nuts to assemble it. So we'll be working on this today. I guess you know what the drill is. Like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to plug that thing up. Let's get updates every time I put a video. Check out duckshit.net for all my different social media links. And we'll be back right after that intro. Yes. Yes, yes. I love this car. Absolutely beautiful car. Comment below what you think. I mean, hear it all the time, really, but I'd like to know. Just 1972, big headlights, early bumpers. Just nice car. Really nice car. Alright, we're back, everybody. I had to work inside. Why is that? Because it started raining again. So, I gotta do the best I can with what I got. And what I've got is to work on this here in the garage in a little tight, confined area, but I guess it's better than nothing. But these are the real Spanish, from Spain, Weber's ICT 34s. These are dual carburetors. This is what came off that 72 Beetle. We cleaned them up last week, and we discovered that the gaskets in them were bad. And here's our gasket remnants. I mean, look at that. There's nothing left of those, so clearly we had to replace them. So we got some gasket kits. We got some new gaskets here. I don't know which ones are the right ones. We're about to find out. They are each individually slightly different than the other. Looks like it's this one. Yep, that's the one it's going to be. How do I know? Because these three holes that are in the side, 1, 2, 3, if I use the wrong gasket, it covers up those holes. So no good. It also covers up some other stuff too, but this is the one we're going to use then. That solves that problem. Excellent. So I'll bolt that together. There we go. Put that lid back on this carburetor. Now, you know what? It looks like the float's got to come off first. That's interesting. This is a float off, gasket on maneuver. Our float doodad back in there. Really don't want to be inside. I can't hardly move in this small area because I'm the duck man. Not too friggin' big for this garbage. Hopefully it'll be done raining by the time I get outside to do this stuff. I'll probably find myself waiting until tomorrow, because that's life. Forecasted rain. Well, it wasn't even in the forecast at all, but it started raining over the weekend. And then it rained through Sunday night. Screwed that up. Rained through Sunday night into Monday. Monday's raining. Today it's raining. Hopefully I get a clear day. I don't mind editing videos on rainy days. That's a good time to do it, because I can't be outside. Here it is. You see that float had to go on because the gasket conflicts with it. Interesting design. Kind of a pain in the ass design. That's the way they made it. That's the way we got to deal with it. Alright. Here's our screws. Run these all back in. Love to use an electric drill on these or some kind of screw gun, because these have more turns on them than my Doloros do. This is that time-consuming, tedious stuff that just really annoys me. Turning screws, turning screws. La 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 la. Somewhere I have an electric screwdriver that Dad gave me for Christmas back in the 90s, I guess it was. And it was great, except for the fact that the batteries in it went poopy because I didn't use it often enough. And even if I had it today, I wouldn't use it enough. It's just the way it is. This is a ICT Weber 34. is a 3-bolt flange on top. I saw Tinkering Guy and a few other people talk about that in other videos elsewhere, and they don't know what it's for. They say something's missing. Well, nothing's missing from this particular revision of the carburetor, but what Webers that have a 3-bolt flange like that do is there's a power valve that goes on top of this that enriches your mixture at wide open throttle, and it's only required on cars that need to pass emission controls way back in the day. So you may have found a Weber that came off of an OEM that used that. And what it did was it gives you a really, really lean mixture until you're full throttle and the power valve opens up and dumps more gas in. Now, some Weber, particularly the dual progressive carburetors, which I think are the biggest pieces of crap going, sometimes those power valves don't work right. And when they don't work right, the best way to make them work is by drilling certain passageways in the side of the carburetor, installing a bung, and connecting an external vacuum line to the power valve to open it up properly. And otherwise, guess what? It doesn't work. So anyway, stay away from Weber progressives anyway. If you're one of those guys that likes them, hey, good on you, but I'm sure you'll discover that a set of duals like these will run a whole lot better. And they're easier to configure. Progressives are weird. There's like a unusual science to it, because there's two different Venturi. Each one's a different size than the other. The small one is for driving around town, and the big one only opens when you throttle it. Come on, let go. Let go. Let go. Go. Pull that off. And you know what? I didn't bring the other gasket out here. So let me go get it. Alright, we're back. There's the base gasket that goes under the carburetor. And here's our top gasket. This is the one that we need to install right here, just like that. Duckman, you're really good with carburetors. I've been working with carbureted stuff for a long time. I haven't really done much of anything with fuel injection. However, since I'm building the whole electronic system on Eleanor, I'd also like to develop my own fuel injection system. And you heard that right, my own fuel injection system. Would be nice if it integrates into my computer somehow. So that way I can monitor or change settings just by pushing a button from your driver's seat. Imagine that, guys. No more turning screws on carburetors anymore. Run the Duckman unit. And I'm sure I can do a lot better than the CB Performance Kit, which I think is like between $5,000 and $7,000 now or something just for fuel injection. A little bit much for me. But then again, when you think about a set of Weber 48 IDAs go for, you're probably looking at about double the price of the IDAs. The IDAs are expensive, but being it is fuel injection, it is better. Not to hate on CB Performance's kit, but from what I understand, it worked great. But if you do call for support, there's only one guy that works over there in California that understands the kit. And if he's out, you know, you don't have him to talk to. Yeah, the one specialist. In my system, I'd like to build it off of a platform that everybody's very familiar with already that can be supported by pretty much anyone. And that's called the Megasquirt system. You guys heard of that? I'm sure somebody will turn it down and say, well, it doesn't have as many channels of configuration, blah, 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 blah. I think it'll be plenty to run an old air-cooled Volkswagen. Just started raining harder out there. I can hear it. I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but I can hear it. And I heard the ducks at the back door here trying to come in. So I guess they're also unhappy to be rained on. Spoiled ducks, I tell you what. You think ducks like rain? No, they don't. Alright. One assembled Weber carburetor. Freshly cleaned, gasketed. This hasn't been tightened yet, has it? No. I don't remember tightening that, so let's do that now. There we go. That one's ready to go. I think that's the left side one because it has the longer arm. The reason why is the cylinders are offset on a Volkswagen. The cylinders on the left side are further forward than the ones on the right. And I think I said that right. I'm pretty sure. Alright. Snug up. Well, I already did. That's interesting. Looks like I already did the one but didn't do the other. Wonder why they would have been. It's also interesting that one of the screws is recessed and the other three are not. Thought that was a mistake I made, but does not appear. Alright, we're back. Put the new rubber gogi on there. So that's ready to go back in the carburetor here. The other one was fine on the other carburetor, so we're going to leave that one alone. That's good. That'll seal that right back up. Excellent. Solves that problem. Make sure the other one is snug. Yeah, I didn't tighten it up. I didn't think so. Whoops. The gasket on there does look good though, so that one doesn't need replacing. Alright, the mixture screws. These needed to be set to between 4.5 and 5.5 if I remember correctly. 1, 2, 3, 4. That wasn't even 4. Alright. That's 1, 2, 3, 4.5. That's going to be our starting point. We do the same thing on this one. This one looks tighter than the other one. I guess I just ran these in. If you hear clicking behind me, by the way, about every 30 seconds or so, that's my Type 3 clock that's been running on the lawnmower battery back there for the last couple months. Just wanted to make sure that it was going to work before I stuffed it back in the car. 1, 2, 3, 4.5. So that'll get us started here. Good starting point. These are our intake manifolds. These are the base gaskets that I had talked about before. They are the same as the Solex carburetor gaskets from, I think, a PIC 34. So if you needed one, you can certainly use one of those for that, or vice versa. So that'll work for this. And let me tell you about those nuts, by the way. Here's our carburetor. Fits on here just like this. In this bucket here, I've got us some of the 13 millimeters. Do I have a 13 millimeter wrench in here? Let's make sure we have the wrench so we can demonstrate the job. A wrench in here. You know what? I'm right in front of the toolbox. Pull a wrench out of the toolbox, Duckman. 13 millimeter. This is the one I didn't want to demonstrate. Clearly that's not going to work. This one will work. Alright. If we go to put a nut on here, let's say we were to thread this one out. And this is probably why these nuts were not tight on this car. You see, you get on here, you can turn it, but when you get down to the bottom, you can't turn it at all. And one of these sides is worse. You know, this is the side that's worse because the carburetor is tapered out this way, so it gets tighter towards that nut until eventually you get to the point that you can't turn the wrench at all, and you can't get the box end on it either. So you're fucked. Well, in step, the smaller nuts. These are 13s, by the way. You can barely turn it just to get it started. These are 11 millimeters, if I'm not mistaken. So you have a 1 millimeter off of the what's the term I'm looking for? The radius. 1 millimeter off the radius. So it's 1 millimeter the whole way around. This nut is shaved down. Where did I put that 13? Here's our nuts and the difference of them. It's also taller, which makes it easier to reach with a tool. You can see the difference in size. That 2 millimeters makes an enormous difference. But now you can use a much smaller 11 millimeter wrench versus a 13. Look at the difference in size there. And then when you go to put this nut on here, all those clearance woes go away. Because now I can get a box end on it. See that? Right on there. Or I can get a wrench on it and actually turn it. Looks like I can get 2/3 of a turn. More than a sixth. 2/6, 1/3. You see, that's actually, this is going to work out good. So anyway, that's what we're going to be putting on here. I have the washers inside of there, so we're ready to put these things on the car, but I can't do it until it stops raining. So I guess we're going to take a little pause for the cause. Maybe I'll have a little sip from the blue cup. We'll wait for it to stop raining, and then once it does, we'll get back outside, and we'll try to get something done. Meanwhile, I'll throw this stuff in here, so you know it's all in the same spot. 13s. These 13s are still not throwaways, though, because they go on a lot of other things on a Volkswagen, so we're going to hang on to those for sure. Here we are. We had another brand new base gasket here. There it is. Yeah. One on here. And then one on here. You know what else I need to do? Before we do anything, we gotta Teflon tape these little bubbies here. Need some Teflon tape on it. And I have to use the yellow fuel impervious Teflon tape, because if you use the white stuff, guess what happens to it when gas hits it? It turns into a gummy mess. And it gets ruined. So I have some here in my... Oh no, it's not in my toolbox. Uh-oh. Not in the place I usually left it at anyway. Let's see. Maybe I can find it up in the big toolbox. No, I don't see any here. You know what might have happened is I might have actually put it in the toolbox up in the front. It's kind of funny. I have an indoor toolbox. I have the big toolbox here for when I'm working in this part of the garage. I have another toolbox up in the front of the garage for when I'm working in the driveway. And then I have a toolbox that's way over here with all the leftover stuff that doesn't apply to any other toolbox. So many toolboxes, all depending upon which location I want to work. And what usually happens, and I don't understand it, but it always happens, is all the Phillips head screwdrivers end up on one side of the garage and all the flatheads end up on the other side, so when you're working you can't find a damn screwdriver. Don't ask me how, but it happens every time. Alright. Guess we didn't look hard enough. Anyway. I always manage to thread this stuff on the wrong direction the first time out. Notice I got it out this time the correct way. You have to wind it around in the reverse direction of the threads, and the reason why is so that way when you tighten it up it doesn't unroll. There you go. And I got it right the first try. Okay. Is that a... No, it's not a 13. I thought it was. It's also an 11. Yeah, 11 it is. This would be a whole lot easier with a socket wrench. And I may just grab one because this is hokey. You watch me turning this thing all day long and it ain't going anywhere. I think I also have my impact out here. So let's try to strip it or break it off. Because that's what I do every single time that I run one of these things. Right, guys? Duckman, you know you could strip a nut out by using that tool on there. I do it every time. Now, of course, it's a joke because people say it to me on purpose. But you still get that new guy that comes around that's never been on my channel before that decides to throw that comment at me. Duckman, you know you shouldn't be doing that. Trying to find the driving bit to that. I thought it was right here. It's not. Uh-oh. There's my impact with a fresh battery. Can I have it in there? No. Oh, I know where it's at. It's right here with a socket in it. Is it not? It is not. Naturally. Alright. Well, I guess I better pause that recording and we'll be back whenever I find the damn tool. Again, it would just help if I'd open up my damn eyes because the bit was right next to where I was looking. Alright, that ought to drive that right in there. I don't want to go too far. Oh! Perfect. Look at that. Ready to rock and roll. Alright, now let me find my socket, which just fell off the damn tool. It fell right beneath where the camera is. It rolled in between a bunch of other debris that I need to pick up. Because that's the way I always lose things. Right into a pile of shit that doesn't need to be where it's sitting. Way too much stuff in my life. Can't wait to have more space. Hopefully sooner than later. Alright, there we are. As I'm talking about space, I've actually had some people offer me shop space recently. And I have not taken anybody up on the offer, even though the offer sounds great for my YouTube channel, right? Everything is always peaches and creams in reality, well, in fantasy land. But in reality, when you put your stuff and all your expensive belongings in somebody else's possession, in a shop in some place that's away from home where I can't guard it, guess what happens? Suddenly, Eleanor's not there the next day? That doesn't work for me. No f***ing way. Thank you, everybody that's offered space. Really, I appreciate it more than you know. But I'm in a position that if it's not my space, not the website, but if it's not my space, then I don't want it. I can't have it. It's not for me. So that's where I'm at. And there we are. These suckers can start getting assembled. Now, I'm not putting the carburetor on the manifold yet. Why is that? Because, I probably should demonstrate it with it on there. When you go to put it in the car, you can't reach that nut in the back. All the engine head and cooling tins are all here, covers everything up, and I don't have a S-shaped arm to get around the backside to get to that nut. So with this off, you can very easily, with a socket and an extension, and an impact, which strips out the fucking bolts, you can wind the sucker right in, and then throw your carburetor on top and then just snug the bolts up, and essentially it's done. These are for our balance pipes. These are not vacuum lines. Do not connect your distributor to something like this. At least one of my YouTube friends have done that, figuring they were taking a shortcut instead of connecting to the appropriate provision that's on the carburetor. That bung, they connected to this one, and what happened is the vacuum diaphragm in their carburetor blew the f*** out. It was completely destroyed because this is full vacuum all the time, whereas this is only a little bit of vacuum and only when you open the throttle. So in other words, the distributor was running at wide open advance all the time, no matter what throttle position you were in, which caused, of course, the diaphragm, which is supposed to be going back and forth, opening and closing, to be perma-sucked in one direction, and it busted its bag. So anyway, that's what happens if you get sucked too hard. Your bag busts. Alright, well, let's get out front. As soon as it's done raining, I think it's blue cup time, just like I said. We're going to take up MF brake. Pick up a few tools that are laying around here. And you know what? I'm in front of my own toolbox, and I'm not just like putting shit away where it belongs. I don't know why I'm not doing this here. I'm standing right here in front of the toolbox. What else is in here that I don't need? 13 might prove useful. 14 doesn't work for anything. The 11 is going to be those nuts. We don't need a punch. There's a few tools in here. This one goes to the old toolbox. This one is a 9mm. I don't even know what I'm using that for. There is, this is a 12mm from Dad's toolbox. That goes back up front, so that's going to go with me. Vice grips are always useful, you never know. So we're just going to put those in there. And you know what? I know what the 9 was for. 9! 9! 9! 9! 9! Anyway, I don't see it. But it's for the little bolts that go in the carburetor here. Ah, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot I have to weld that hole shut. But anyway, these go on there. Those were 9mm. I gotta take the top back off this carburetor because we gotta weld that. I guess we'll do that now before I have my drink. And once I have my drink, you know what's gonna happen. I'm gonna be real shaky, wobbly. I'm gonna fall down. Which means I need my screwdriver back out here again. We'll take the lid back off this carburetor. Yeah, I wasted my time putting all that together. Well, at least you guys had a great dialogue. But anyway, that's the hole we're going to weld up. I'm going to clean out the inside of that hole a little bit, probably with a wire brush or something. Well, whenever I have to fit it. You know, the threads are pretty clean. They're nice and bright and shiny. And maybe I won't bother digging into that too deeply. I might just run something around the inside anyway. But this is made from zinc. It's just pot metal. And I have welding rods. Well, I had welding rods. They're right here in the old toolbox. There they are. These are zinc welding rods that will weld right in. They call them AlumaWeld because they weld up real nicely to aluminum also. But no, this is zinc, not aluminum, so we'll just simply get in there and fill that hole up. Alright, let me stick this in the vise. Let me get my propane torch. And we'll start heating this thing up. And there's my Type 3 speedometer. For those of you wondering, it's going to be right next to where I'm working. So it's hooked up to just the lawn, well, either the lawnmower battery there or the motorcycle battery, which are both on trickle charges right now to keep them good, because I haven't ridden any motorcycle stuff in a while. And batteries are damn expensive. I notice any battery I leave around in the state of Florida for more than about 90 days starts to get poopy and never really comes back. So anyway, yeah, this one. All right, well, there's our carburetor down there in the vise next to my cookie tin full of hole saws. So we're going to get in there and we're going to try to weld that sucker up. You notice it's shiny in that hole right now. Actually, it's shiny in the wrong hole. Yeah, I polished out the wrong hole. Damn it! I got to polish out the hole on the right. Well, let me hit that up again and we'll get in there. At least I didn't mangle up the threads. That's a good thing. Anyway, over on that side is the one we need to get into, so let me do that. Well, that was way too easy to do because this is just zinc and those threads were stripped to hell. So anyway, those threads are shot. And you can see all the shavings in there. We're going to leave the shavings in there because, well, that's fill. It's all going to melt. So we use this welding rod, just kind of push them all in. The best thing is this stuff melts with propane. So we're going to heat this up gently. When this starts to get shiny, this area around here, that means this is about to melt, and that's when you put this in, because if you go any hotter than that, you will completely melt and deform this carburetor, and it will be ruined. Ask me how I know. Alright, well, this rod and this thing both melt at the same temperature, but you do have to get this hot, else this will not stick. Alright, here we go, fun stuff. And the humidity, because as you know, when you burn stuff, you get water and carbon dioxide, is actually condensing on the carburetor because it's cold. Not very warm here in Florida. Heat, and wait for it to get shiny. We don't want to damage the tip that's right here either, because that is what aligns the carburetors and holds them straight. Get shiny. This is a much bigger chunk of metal too. It's going to take a lot more heat. Oh, starting to see shiny. Come on. Should have heated the rod at the same time. There it goes. Get in there. I should have done that hotter. It's probably fine, but I definitely should have done it hotter. There it goes. Now it's hot. Now we got a liquid forming in there. Carburetor's a giant heat sink right now, though. Good. Alright. There it is. Nothing to it, man. LumaWeld stuff. Yeah, link down below in the video description. Stuff is good. Alright. The heat of heated zinc. You don't want to breathe that too much. It's like breathing from galvanized welding. You get the shakes from all that zinc, so don't do that. And I am in a garage right now, which is closed, and this carburetor is nice and hot. We're going to let that cool down. We're going to come back. We're going to file that down. And then we might even put it on the belt sander real quick and just zip, and just smooth it out. Then we got to tap it and drill it. So we'll do all that at the same time. But anyway, now I properly have a break because this is hot, needs to cool down. So we'll be right back. Well, it's the next morning. I decided I was going to have dinner, and then one thing led to another. I didn't get finished. Right now I'm standing in the shade for my remaining tree, which is kind of nice. It's not going to be here for too much longer. Anyway, let's go ahead and hop on those carburetors. We got some filing to do. Who's that right there? Is that, can't tell. Lift your head. It's Pecan. That's who it is. It's Pecan, a.k.a. Sol. The solar eclipse baby. Alright, well, let's hop on it. Alright, after I shut the camera off yesterday, I realized that the hole on this side also had been wallered out. Somebody had drilled that and tapped it to a bigger size also, and this was an even bigger size than that. Neither one of these is the correct size it needs to be. So I would guess that somebody stripped it, fixed it, stripped it, fixed it, stripped it, fixed it again, and then the big bolt they put into it, they stripped it a third time. Anyway, we're going to make it right this time. Where the hell is my file? I just had it in my hand. I walked away, and I put it down, and now I don't have it. Alright, well, let me grab it. But anyway, we got to smooth these out, so that way we can put the carburetor back together. Just a little booger here. This one's a little bit bigger of a wad, because I had trouble melting it, and then a big old glob fell off. Don't you hate it when you lose a tool and you didn't even go anywhere? Alright, well, this is probably the wrong file. I might have to grab another one. No, it's getting the job done. Just delicately. Yeah, it's taking it off. It's zinc, so as you know, I'm trying to... This is something you guys are probably going to get really bored watching. I want to do a long stroke on it, but because it's so small, I don't want to miss and then file down the carburetor where it's not supposed to be filed. That's getting the job done. It's going to take me a minute or two to get this right. I want it to look like it's new when I'm done. And actually, the spots that I welded here are going to look cleaner than the rest of the carburetor. So yeah, it'll look new. Alright, well, we'll be right back in just a minute. Alright, I think that turned out pretty good, nice and flat. I filed down this side where there was a little blob. It didn't get to the mounting surface where the gasket would have touched. But you can see I just started rubbing it down with the file until it just started to skeech on the edge of the mounting surface, because I don't want to take that down. It needs to be flat, otherwise it doesn't seal. But anyway, there it is, ready to rock and roll. We'll put it back in the vise here. We'll make our markings, because where this is supposed to be is right there. So that's where our holes are going to be drilled. It's nice that this part actually makes a great template for cutting these holes out. So anyway, that's what we're going to do. I'm going to use a punch, make my 2 holes, get a driblet, and dribble it out. And then once that's taken care of, I found an appropriate size bit. I wrapped some tape around it so I know the depth that I need to go to. The other carburetor, I measured the depth by putting the drill bit in it and then wrapping the tape at the depth. Anyway, we got our little holes punched here. So we're going to start drilling right where we need to, just like that. I'm going to put this camera down because I need 2 hands to do this so I can hold it straight. So let's switch over. This being zinc, it's a soft metal. I don't have to worry about lubricating it. It's going to self-lube itself. My hole's a little bit off-center here. We're going to fix that. There we go. Alright, we got us an appropriate size tap. Again, no lube. Oh, got to tighten the vise up. Because it's zinc, and zinc is soft, so you can kind of say it's self-lubricating. I'll just run that tap right in that hole. And when it bottoms out, I have the drill in that ratcheting mode, so it's not going to strip my hole out. Anyway, this will be a long process because this is small and delicate and I don't want to break off that tap. So we'll be back in just a minute. Alright, I guess that about got it. Clean off the burrs on the edge of the holes. Alright, here we go. That should thread right in. Presto! Look at that! Very nice. And I notice these bolts are actually a little too long, and this is the reason why the Dingledorfer that was putting these in here stripped them out. Because he would tighten them down and try to get them all the way tight, and they wouldn't go all the way tight. Instead, they would rip the threads out. So, anyway, we're good to go. This is ready to get reassembled. Right. Yay! Those bolts are, well, they're bottomed out. This is why they had a stack of washers on the other carburetor, which is right here, that isn't stripped out. So, anyway, I'm going to cut these bolts down, and I'm going to add just 1 washer to each, like it's supposed to have, and we'll put this whole thing back together. See, look how simple that was. I'll put a little Loctite in them just to make sure they stay that way, but otherwise, they are golden. They're ready to go. Alright, there we are. Another bullshit problem fixed. I just can't believe if somebody ran bolts in that were entirely too long, bottomed them out. I can't believe that somebody ran in bolts that were entirely too long, bottomed them out, and then stripped them out because they just kept tightening them, trying to make the things tight. Anyway, I only had some Allen key bolts, so that's just what I used on this side. And then I put standard ones on that side. I ground them down on both sides, so in other words, I shortened down the bolts, so that way they didn't hit the bottoms. And now we've got nice tight arms on here, and I also used some red Loctite to lock them in there. So, if they come apart again, what we're going to look at doing is putting some CB Performance linkage on here, and, you know, enough of the stupid shit. Otherwise, yeah, I think we're good. So, there we go. Back to the noisy front yard. It's like 70 degrees today. Windy, though, which kind of puts a little chill on you. But it's like 70 degrees out. Can't argue with that. That's kind of nice. Boy, there's a little dirt in here. I guess this tarp had a little dirt in it. I have to come through here with the compressor and blow all this out. Okay. Get the dirt away from where the carburetor or intake manifold flanges are on the heads. Yeah, it's really not that bad. It's just soiled. Not bad. Everything stayed good and dry. Paper towels are They got sprayed, but they didn't get like rained on directly, so they're all right. This is our balance pipe. Balance pipe somewhere over here too. There it is. It's our fuel. It's our leakage. Our plug wire's got to come out of the way. There we go. Way to storm through leaves and things in here. Got pretty windy there for a little bit. All right, let's start with them intake manifolds. There they are. They're exactly the same on both sides. Nothing too special as far as these are concerned. I don't know if you'll be able to see what I'm doing here, but let's see if I can get you situated where maybe you can see a little bit of it. All right, here we go. Noisy neighborhood. Here's our paper towel. Always make sure you take that crap out. Intake manifold going on. Here's our little 11 millimeter nuts. These are the new ones. Got us some washers here. This car was missing some washers. I guess they're not too big of a deal, but it does help the nut from chewing into the intake manifold and such. Oh, these are so much better. I can actually thread them on. Oh, look at that. That is just fantastic. Yeah, I should have the camera over here looking down, right where I am. Maybe I'll move you. Are we recording? Yes. I hope that gives you a better angle. It might. Don't mind the shop vac sound. I can see him diagonally behind me in the yard over that way. He's running his shop vac across his backyard. And I'd say he was sucking up leaves, except he's got pine needles like me, and those are not going through a shop vac. So real slowly, it looks like he's vacuuming his backyard. Okay, I don't know. Some people say there's a lot of drugs in this neighborhood. I'd like to believe that. These are great. This I would not have been able to get these manifolds tight using a ratchet like this if I didn't have these nuts on here. I don't know how much of this you guys can see. I can't see the camera from this angle. This ratchet is malfunctioning. Come on, ratchet, you piece of... Don't want to over tighten them. Especially considering that these nuts are brass. You could strip them out quite easily. Probably one of the reasons why they're double length. Alright. Now I need to, and I probably should have done this first, connect that balance tube to the outside of the manifold. This is what it looks like. It's got to go on there like that, but down under there where it's really hard to reach. So I'm going to shut the camera off and move it because I got to get under there. Shop vac in the backyard. I still don't get it. If I can get a good angle, I'll try to get you guys some video of that, but he's been running it for about an hour. Alright, I was getting that line back on there with Duckman-sized grip because it's down underneath the manifold here, and the line, it kept cracking, which didn't help. So I cut out about 6 inches of it. This thing is exceptionally long. Anyway, I'm reconnecting grounds, by the way, here. These are the grounds. But, yeah, there was no way I was going to do that. Absolutely no way at all. Anyways, there's our base gasket. And there, lastly, is our carburetor. Here we go. Now, again, it probably would have been easier without all this stuff on there, but I've got them mounted. They're Loctited on there properly. I'm not messing with this stuff. So if it's a little harder for me to get my hand in there, I'm just going to have to deal with it. That's fine. There's our fuel line. We'll get this reconnected right there, and then we'll come back and handle that linkage after we're done with both carburetors. But word to the wise, when we're doing this side, because now I have 5 minutes more experience working on this car, and Eleanor uses similar manifolds too. In fact, I'm having a manifold clearance issue right there where these little shelves are, being that it has a 56 rear end. The engine compartment's a little bit smaller, and when I put the engine in, or at least bolted down the manifolds, it lifted the engine up because they were hitting the little shelves on the sides here. So I think those shelves on Eleanor are going to have to come out. and I'm going to have to move them down perhaps an inch or so. But since I'm having issues with gasket alignment and other things like that too, it's just going to be better that I do that anyway. So anyway, let's put this manifold down in there. I'm going to do that off camera. Noisy piece of shit car coming down the street here again. It's not even an old car, it's just a piece of shit car. All right, well, let me make some more steps here to get this thing finished. Here we go. All right, time to bolt on that carburetor. Here is, I'm just wondering, should I reattach that fuel line before I drop this carburetor on? And based on how difficult it was to get the line on for the balance pipe, maybe I should. Duckman, you should! Alright, let's put this on here now. Of course, that was very easy. Right back on there, and the screw is easily accessible. Alright, one washer. Another washer on the other side here. Oh. Uh-oh. Get in there. Yeah, fantastic. Look at this nut on this side. These 11 millimeters, man. This is the way to go. Links down below in the video description if you need these guys. Little brass nuts. Allow more clearance for your fingers and your wrenches and everything to tighten on these intake manifold bolts. They also work good on exhausts. And because they are brass, they don't rust. Be able to get that threaded. Come on now. There it goes. Talk about awkward angles here. Working with my hands behind my back. Okay. Now we can use the box end of an 11 millimeter wrench and snug up those nuts. That would have been impossible before. And that was the reason why the intake manifolds were coming off and why the carburetors were loose. Because you couldn't get a wrench on there to do these things. Whoever did the install didn't know. They just used whatever they had, I guess. Ooh, this bolt's hard to get to. That one is really hard to get to. I can still do it though. There it is. If I did not have that 11 millimeter, that would have been a no way Jose. You can only get a sixth of a turn at a time, but it is turning. Alright, I got an assortment of 11 millimeter wrenches, except they're not 11 millimeters, they're 7/16. It's the wrong size, Duckman! Actually, 11 millimeters 7/16 is damn near the same. Not like a 3/8 and a 10 millimeter, which I see people on Facebook. I see people on YouTube all the time saying it's the same. It's not. 7/16 and 11 is though. Anyway, I grabbed each of these wrenches, which is each a different size and shape, hoping that one of these might actually be the one that does the trick. Actually, I think it might be tight. Let's see what other maneuver I can make in here. This one's really light though. This little guy has a nice offset on it. 7/16. This is probably a tool I should have been using. I don't know what they're smashing down the street. They're doing something with concrete and have been for weeks. You know, I'm going to call that one tight. Has to be. I mean, it wasn't finger tight like some of the other bolts were when I took it apart. That one's snug. This one I don't have that confidence that it's tight, but I think it is. Anyway, see what else I can get in there with. If this were not 11, man, I'll say it again. If this were not 11, there's no way I'd get any wrench on here at all. This one is 6-pointed, not 12. Otherwise, that would be on there already. me just loosen this a little bit. And then using this wrench, which is smaller and has a lot more work room, use this to snug it up. Yeah, it's just not enough room. I can't go on this way. Nope. Alright, well, what you see is what you get. Alright, I think we're good. Let's jump over to the other side. I found another angle to attack that nut. Going underneath the accelerator pump, using the shortest wrench that I've got, I can actually spin that nut and get it tight. So that worked. That's the way to do it. I have no idea what they're doing down the street, but now they're on my street doing it. Smashing things, and the diesel fumes are so heavy, I'm actually getting dizzy over here. But yeah, they got that all torn up over there on the corner, and I don't know, what a mess. Hell, Boom Ass just walked past with her loud stereo hanging off of her ass again. The Bluetooth butt. This balance tube is really hard at the end here. Over here it's all flexible, so this thing is way too long for in this car anyway, so you can certainly lose some of it, not a big deal. And as we learned earlier, let's put our balance tube on first before we even try to put the intake manifold on. Otherwise, we're not getting it on. That was crap before, man. Alright, take this out. There you go. Intake manifold is on. Boy, clearance in here is real tight too. Not as bad as Eleanor. Eleanor's is just ridiculous, but this is way tight. Alright. More nuts. A couple of washers from our bucket. That one, and another here, and then we'll nut all over everything. That's the kind of guy I am. Nut and run. Okay. That one. This one. Like I said, these nuts are great. You can't get in there with a socket, otherwise it would have been impossible. Put this down in here. I'm nervous I'm gonna drop something while I'm moving around in here. Put the whole car together with my left hand. How about that? They must have spilled some diesel fuel out there. Woo! I'm about to, well, I was about to pour a Duckman drink. Now I don't think I need one. Boy. Whoa. I have to go to a Volkswagen car show meeting this evening. And I was hoping to take this on its test drive. Still might happen. Got a couple hours before it gets dark. I mean, really, there's not that many more bolts that have to be tightened on here, as long as we don't have any other surprises. Okay, there it is. Put our base gasket on. Got it. And one carburetor, which we're going to connect the fuel line to first, which we still need to tighten up the screw on the other one. There it is. Got a couple more washers. And our last two brass nuts. Uh-oh. Dropped that one. I can see it though. Gotta get my maggot. Fell down right on top of the intake manifold, real close to the head where I couldn't get it to go. I don't know if I can get a socket on that one. You know, with a really low profile socket, I shouldn't say, a really thin socket, I could probably get in there By the way, I just got a lot of turns on it. Yeah, swivel would probably almost get it. Okay, here we go. Comes the fun part. Let's see if we can get these tight. I really like this wrench. Let's see if this one's gonna do it. Nope, won't do it. Okay. I'll get in there with this one. I can. Looks like it's gonna need a 12-pointer though. That's a 12-pointer. Again, this is the reason why the carburetor was loose when it came here. Because it's so hard to get a tool in there. Wow. Alright, well, the struggle is real. We'll come back to that one. Let's see what kind of a fuss this side's going to be. Geez, I can't even get my hand in there. Let's see if I can get this one in there. Nope. This would be a great case for those Weber windows. Man. You know what I should have done is I should have not put the spring on that carburetor yet. I'd actually have a little more room in here. I may take that back off. Yeah, that gave me some freedom. This side's even tighter than the other side was. This is incredible. And I thought Eleanor's carburetors were hard to get to, but no, with those Weber windows, I've certainly cheated. Smaller wrench in here. You guys can't even see what I'm doing. You'll never appreciate it. Anyway, I'll tighten these things up and then I'll come back when we get this thing done. So we got those bolts on there. And what it took was 3 different wrenches. And if you can look in the holes, and I don't think you guys can even see it, but all the holes are indexed slightly differently by a couple of degrees. I don't know if that's by design or if that's just the way it was. I mean, these wrenches are both the same brand, same size, SK tools, but those holes are indexed differently. So I would put it on one way, turn it over the other way, use a different wrench. It's just, this is a 12-point, these are 6-pointers, and just the combination of every time one wouldn't fit, flip something over, try a different wrench, and it would go. That's what it took to get it on there. That was complicated. Anyway, it's on there, now we're solid. Here's our throttle linkage, we're getting ready to hook that up next. I gotta put the little springs in the ends over here. And then, well, before we even do that, let's tighten up the intake manifold bolts. Don't need these wrenches up here anymore, though. These can go away. I do need my 9mm, though, which is the little bolts that are on the ends here. Were they 9s? No, they might be smaller than that. Anyway, I'll need that, too. Then I figured before I do anything else, I might as well put these spark plug wires on. It's going to be hard to reach them otherwise. In fact, it's hard enough to reach the back ones, or I should say front ones, because front is front on a Volkswagen. This is, that was 1, this is 4. 4 is right here. This is number 3. Number 3 is a little hard to get to. Alright, there we are. Pull our linkage back out of here. I gotta hook that spring back up on there. Piece of fuel line, no good. Go. Very nice, working. These little joints on here are a little sticky. Put a little lube on them before we square all this up. Probably should do it now while they're able to be articulated, because once they're on there, they're only going to move a certain way. That was interesting. A little old man just slammed on the brakes out front here in a minivan. Came running up to me with a little plastic box that he opened up that was loaded with pepper spray and keychain knives and that kind of stuff. He was trying to sell me something. Weird. I said to him, listen, I carry 9mm. I don't exactly need a bottle of pepper spray. And he understood completely. I said that since the law changed in Florida, I said most people are carrying guns anymore. So I said, you know, good luck with your business. And then he just bailed on me. He got the hell out of here. Now he's harassing the construction guys down there. I don't know if you can see it, but that's his minivan right there. Yeah, so he's out there bothering them right now. Tractor stuck in the middle of the road, harassing them. Anyway, I guess that's how you sell something when you're pedaling. All right, well, I was looking for the nuts and I discovered there are no nuts. It actually threads right into the arm itself, so nothing's missing. My bad. I should have gone back and looked at the last video, right? That would have answered all my questions. There's a pine needle in here. There's also a piece of my finger in here somewhere because I got a nasty cut here. For some reason, it looks a lot worse than it is. It doesn't really hurt much. It didn't really bleed much. I better clean it now because it's not bleeding before I end up with Volkswagen herpes or some shit. All right, here we go. There is our vacuum line, which I have to get way the hell under there and in. We'll get that in there too. We'll get these things hooked up. These aren't hard. I just need to get the right wrench on there and get them run in. And then we're ready to start. Okay, I am having some massive issues with these linkages. Right here on the ends, look at that. Look at all that play in there. And this bolt is as tight as I can make it. Same thing's going on over here. There's just all this play in it. And when I look at the ends of these, they look like they're 12 points and not 6 points, because this is a hex bar. Maybe it's meant to go on a few different ways, but I have noticed that while I was moving the throttle, that this thing tried to jump positions. So these don't fit very tightly on here. This is not the linkage I would have ever recommended to anybody. This is still better than the push-pull linkage, but this is still crap as far as it's concerned. If you want to get a good linkage, you're probably going to have to get one from CB Performance. This will, well, should make the vehicle run, but when it comes down to getting the carburetors balanced, it's going to be impossible to keep them balanced because these things just keep moving. And I mean, not only are they moving, but they shimmy along the bar. So, yeah, it's definitely a problem. I'm going to bring that to the owner's attention. I'll see what he wants to do about it. Meanwhile, though, it should start. Everything is connected. I got all the spark plug wires on here. I poured a little fuel down inside the carburetors already. So all I should have to do is just get in there and turn the key and just, you know, play with the throttle a little bit. And we'll see what happens. I don't have any air cleaners on there. I'm aware of that. I'm going to put them on. They're currently in the ultrasonic cleaner getting a bath because they were equally dirty too. So let's go ahead and see if we can get it fired up. And let's see it run. All right, boys. Here we go. Okay, otherwise, I haven't played with any of the mixture settings on those carburetors yet. I just set them at 4.5. Remember, one was was 4.5 and one was 5.5. I don't remember which one was which, but the fact is they usually should be equal anyway. I have not played with the idle screws. I haven't put any balancing vacuum, nothing on here yet, so I don't know how this is going to behave when it comes time to attempting to balance this, but sounds okay though. It sounds like it's running on all 4 cylinders. That's another problem. It doesn't want to return back to the idle position. And I've stretched those springs extra taut just to make that happen, and it still doesn't want to. I think it's all about these linkages here. Yeah, you see? I push it back and forth and it actually increases the speed. Yeah, it's got issues. I'm going to bring that to the owner's attention. Otherwise, we're going to wrap this video up for today. I'll put a little bit of paper down in the carburetors and get them covered up with some plastic bags, just in case it rains, which I don't think it's supposed to, but nonetheless, licky, likey, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to plug that jingle belly so you get updates every time I upload a video. Check out duckshit.net for all of my different social media links. Thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Well, I was just wrapping up for the day, shutting everything down, and I noticed there's a puddle. Not good. I touched it. It smells like gasoline, guys. I thought it was just a little water from the storms when I started it up. Maybe it just trickled out, but no, it's got a leak from somewhere. I don't know where. It is on the left side. I can't see it from the top. Nothing looks wet when I look down side of there. Typically, the fuel line runs through the left side of the car. There's a possibility it might be nicked underneath. Why it wouldn't have been leaking before is anybody's guess. I don't know. Maybe when there was a little bit of vacuum applied via the fuel pump, because that's how it works. It draws the gas into the pump and then pushes it into the carburetors. Maybe something collapsed. I don't know. Anyway, we're going to investigate it in another video. It's not going to be today, though. Thanks, everyone, for watching.